I want to ask you, open your minds. They live, we sleep. But they not only live, they're also killing our planet. They are doing it right now while you're watching this. Wake up, humans. You must review all the instruction they gave you in elementary school, middle school, high school, history, geography, geology. Open your mind. I want you to look at these photos. Today we have lots of artifacts which we can't repeat because of certain conditions as the lack of technology, lack of equipment, or specialists, and which are evidence that our civilization is 200 years ago, and before that compared to us was way more developed, and today's society are just kids in the sandbox. Here are some examples. Bubba Lofo Bath, 1784 to 1820. Here is what this man that was near it tells us. Sorry for my language, but they are telling us absolute bullshit. That somehow the master made it for 7 years and polished it every day like Papa Carlo. Absolute bullshit. With all my responsibility as a lathe man of 5th level, I declare that this is machine precision. Concave and convex surfaces of this bath, strictly precise, circle on the whole diameter, very accurate spherical surface in the lower part of the bath. Inside the bath on the bottom, the same super accurate concavity of the whole diameter. This product is impossible to do manually, especially to polish. I have the impression that it only yesterday got out of the machine. And the polish is like from Isaac's castle columns. It's impossible to do without high-class and high-speed polishing and grinding instruments. Next one, Alexandrian Column, 1834. Weight is 600 tons, 27 meters high, granite. Impossible to do manually without turning this on a lathe machine. This column has the shape of antithesis. It's simply impossible to do manually. Third, Peru Ollantaytambo. Polygonal docking of blocks. Weight is 40 to 120 tons. The level of adjustment you can see for yourself. Blocks are aligned in 3 dimensions. Capella San Severo. Made from a single piece of marble. This is impossible to do without an advanced CNC machine. For the last 50 years, there was nothing even close to the complexity of this execution. Nothing has been done by any sculptor, even with the advanced CNC machine. Marble tombstone on the monumental cemetery Strangolano Museum in Genoa. 6. Stone bridges in Sevastopol. Each polygonal stone of the bridge is essentially a single sculpture. An example of modern work, the stone on the left. By today's standards, it is considered quite acceptable. All cities on this planet were built of stone in the antique style, with pre-designed layouts of streets, avenues, embankments, and so on. All cities had a stone bastion wall. The construction volume, which is often equal to the construction volume of the whole city. Somewhere between 1780 and 1815, we experienced nuclear war. And it is likely not the first time in the world, which resulted in a nuclear winter in 1816. A year without summer. The Anglo-Saxons called it 1800 and froze to death. Here are some screenshots from Google Earth. Photos of nuclear craters in the territories such as Belarus. Such craters are easy to find. White traces around craters are broken limestone, the basic material of that time. To visualize the damage, search in Google Roger Fenton Crimea or James Robertson Crimea and see the pictures. And you will see the photos of these first war photographers that were sent to Crimea in 1853 after the nuclear war to take pictures of the siege of Sevastopol. Compare vegetation then and today. This is an example of a photo of Sevastopol by Fenton. Until the 18th century, houses were built entirely of limestone. For cutting were used advanced machines to make perfect parallelepipeds. Here are some photos of a house in Crimea. All houses in all cities of old USSR are covered in clay for 3 or 4 meters. All houses that are deep in the ground for 3 to 4 meters and have such good quality. It takes 200 years, and during the Soviet era, such masonry of limestone is considered to be very good. This is Eski Kermen. Illiterate guides will tell you that this is one of the cave cities of Crimea, where people lived. And when I asked about this track, I was told that this track was done by cartwheels of local nobility. And this is another so-called cave city of Crimea. And this is a modern quarry where limestone is mined. This photo is made before the revolution of 1917. You can see that from the limestone is accurately cut segments, the bottom of which runs the railway and where a house stands. And now a very important photo of Inkerman Quarry, the name Champani, made in 1890. You can clearly see cut passageways through the hill, 100 meters in width and 80 meters high. Under the vertical wall we can see small pieces of limestone and limestone crumb that fell off because of working saw machining. In the cut holes we can clearly see houses. Some of these holes are beginning of catacombs, some of which extend for hundreds of kilometers. They conducted a large-scale underground mining of limestone. In the days of the Second World War, in the catacombs were hospitals, warehouses, headquarters, and trucks freely drove in and out of these catacombs. By the way, there are ancient catacombs in any city of the world. Near Odessa, there is a catacomb that is 2,500 kilometers long. Everything they tell us, rocks, canyons, ravines, cliffs, are just nothing more than quarry wastes. And there are very old quarries over there, and many fresh ones. This is a white rock in Belogorsk, near Crimea. It is a limestone quarry. The wall was formed as a result of the cut slope of the hill. Want to see more? Look at this passage from which a huge mass of limestone was taken. They lied to you. And guess what they call it? They call it the Valley, a beautiful wonder of earth. Check this out. This is an old photo from the 19th century. The mound of the vertical walls of limestone chips are not yet overgrown with vegetation. This is an old painting from the year 1855 We can see ancient giant quarry wastes in the background. Are you impressed by the scale of mining in just little Crimea? I want to tell you more. There is no cubic meter of land, probably 100 meters deep over the entire earth, which would not have been in its time mined, milled, masticated, and discarded. It is not a planet, but a giant quarry waste pit, where in the most violent and barbaric way the entire periodic table of Mendeleev is extracted. And now, look at these photos and pay attention to the tiered structure of the quarries and mines. The rotor-excavated tiered cuts are massive. It is a formed structure with right angles when viewed from above. And now I want to show you the mountains, ridges, gorges, canyons, cliffs, in almost uninhabited ways. Often they are named by the people who discovered them. Are all academics and professors of geology and other science nerds too blind to see it? Mountain on the Kola Peninsula. I do not know the name. Mountains on Antarctica that were only discovered in 1820. Antarctica. Here are even the traces of the heavy machines and equipment. Greenland. Watkins Mountains. Look at the scale of the mining. Greenland. The flight from Frankfurt to Los Angeles. Gunbjorn. The highest mountain in Greenland, 3,700 meters. No problem. Almost completely gutted. Svalbard, Norway. Aurora Borealis in the background of quarry waste. Antarctica, Transantarctic Mountains. At the foot, the traces of machines are still visible. Antarctica, Transantarctic Mountains, quarry systems. Pay attention to the background. Mount Kailash, Tibet. The height is 6,638 meters. Have you ever seen in our time heavy mining equipment that's raised to such heights? Goblin Valley State Park, Utah, USA. Gloss Mountain State Park, Oklahoma, USA. Grand Canyon, Arizona, USA. It's just a giant quarry waste, gutted territory. Millions of tourists think that they are looking at a miracle of the world because they were told so. Quarry, Grand Canyon, Arizona, USA. Nowhere can we find traces of water erosion. Only the shock explosive impacts on the silicon vegetation. Quarry, Rock Spitzberg. Quarry, Grand Canyon. The cut of the stone with a circular saw. Quarry in Australia, Blue Mountains. Blue Mountains from another angle. Blue Mountains, the vertical wall. Compare it with the marble quarry in the Alps. Marble mining in the Alps. Giant quarry. Do not know where. This photo is offered as wallpaper on your desktop across the internet. Caprock Canyons State Park, Texas. Again, a national park created from exhausted quarry wastes in the USA. In some quarry wastes where there is a lot of moisture, people do farming. Banao rice terraces. Again, Banao rice terraces. And this is Canyon de Chelly Nation Monument, USA. The saws apparently did tunneling. The so-called Painted Hills in Oregon. Mountains Ravine, South Africa. Orange River and Mountains. Timna National Park in Israel, just a quarry. Quarry, Green Canyon, in China. Flooded quarry, Charak Reservoir in Uzbekistan. Flooded quarry, another angle. As you can see, there are no natural rocks, mountains, cliffs, and gorges on this planet. You know, while people argue on the internet how flat the Earth is, like a pancake, or maybe a little concave, our masters are literally devouring our home and turning into a desert and a scrapyard. Guess what? It appears there are quarries on our planet the size of several countries. For example, in Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and Iran, there is almost no soil in these parts of the country, because a 100-meter layer of soil and all living things on it was removed. It looks like the Ural Sea and the Caspian Sea are just giant flooded quarries. Yes, all areas in the world that is painted yellow on Google Maps are the bottom of quarry wastes. Uzgurt Plateau. In the middle of the picture is a group of cars. If you fill this quarry with a layer of water 1,500 meters high, you will get an analogy of the Sea of Azov. And this is the Sea of Azov, flooded old quarry. The bottom is as smooth as a table on which rotor excavators rolled. The maximum depth is 15 meters. Perhaps thorium was mined here. The edge of the Karakum Desert, the area of which is 350,000 kilometers squared. The impression is that planetary reapers worked here. In reality, quarry, for the rest of the population, Canyon Yangakala, the wonder of the world, in Turkmenistan. In reality, quarry, for the population, Plateau Tozber, Kazakhstan. USA, Monument Valley, USA. Previously, this area was several hundred meters high, up to the stumps of the silicon trees in the background. Same Monument Valley, USA. Namibia. The desert is the bottom of a quarry. Egypt. The top layer is scraped out with soil and all living things on it, also burnt by nuclear blast. Most part of Australia is cut and scraped almost completely. No soil, only red desert left. Australia, Nigeria, desert. The conclusion is deserts are 100% artificial. They emerged as a result of long-term mining activities. Even more, you can easily safely replace the words canyons, gorges, rocks, ravines, plateaus, mountain lake, and just simple lake in your vocabulary to the words quarry, mine, flooded quarry, flooded mine. Krivobor in Russia. Krivobor in a different angle. In the middle of this island, overgrown with bushes, stood a rotary excavator. Kruitvann in Switzerland, obviously the work of a rotary excavator. Siberia, Anabari quarry. And now look at this. This is pile of waste rock in Donbass. The height sometimes reaches 300 meters. Inside them are chemical reactions. They burn, and sometimes they even explode when they accumulate excess pressure, and more. Let me introduce to you this pile of waste called Vesuvius in Italy. 1,281 meters high. But science nerds will tell you that this is a volcano because it is burning. Even once it exploded. What a story. How people buy into it is beyond me. And now let's look at the biggest pile of waste, called terracons or volcanoes. This is terracon in Fujiyama in Japan. People, if you think that our masters lied to you, you are still sleeping. If you think that the earth is flat, you are half awakened. We are on a desert and a giant quarry that we are turning into a scrapyard. Since we can trust no one, maybe it's time we think for ourselves. Really think about what you've been told your whole life and question everything.